Breaking news from the circus tent of American politics. Today's headliner.
A retired U.S. Army four-star general and Fox News strategic analyst Jack Keane. Sir, thank you for joining us on this Saturday morning. Greatly and always appreciate your insights. I just want to get your thoughts here as things are getting underway in overseas in Oman. Steve Witkoff is there, but the talks remain indirect. The president would like to see more direct talks, swifter action. Your thoughts on how things are going, if we can expect anything to come out of this?
Well, first of all, we did expect these talks to be direct, according to the United States position. The Iranians are reporting that they were indirect, and what that means for our viewers is that we were not in the same room with the Iranians. We worked through an intermediary. We stayed our position. They carried it into the Iranians' room. They state their counter position. They carry that back out into our room. It's not in a way to do negotiations, obviously. So we'll get some clarification from the administration on what these talks really were about. And certainly the first talk is about what is the framework for discussion and what's the timeline. That's likely what this 2-hour session really entailed. But look, our positions are about as far apart as they can be. The reasons why the Iranians are actually talking, because the supreme leader did not want to engage in any discussion whatsoever, is because I think they've come to the conclusion that the president is dead serious about supporting an Israeli-led, U.S.-supported strike on Iran to take down their nuclear enterprise if they don't voluntarily dismantle it. So the Iranians have agreed to talks. Obviously, we've had the first session. And I think what their position is going to be is they're going to want to freeze the program in place, something that they have done in the past. And that would keep it close to the threshold capability within a couple of weeks of having a nuclear weapon. They may give up some enriched uranium. They may give up some centrifuges. They likely will not give up any of their secret sites and their deeply buried sites. But that's completely different from where the administration position is. They want them to voluntarily dismantle your entire program. Give up the highly enriched uranium, give up the centrifuges, give up the facilities themselves, give up the missiles that are going to deliver these systems, and then, and this is key, anywhere, anytime inspections. In other words, independent inspectors determine where to go to look and verify what is taking place. The Iranians have never granted that, and that is one of the reasons why we're in this position today with the Iranians so close to a nuclear weapon, because they let inspectors go to X, but meanwhile at Y is a secret site, and they're continuing to develop nuclear weapons. Yeah. So we're far apart. We'll see if we can come together with this. I'm not optimistic here, because the Iranians do not want to give up their program, Molly. That's the reality of this.
Yeah, I always like to talk to you and get your insights, but I'm rarely comforted. And in this particular case, it seems like these talks are about just getting to the real talk, to getting to the same table, laying out parameters or whatever needs to be done to even begin real discussions. And so I'd like to get your thoughts on that, but also on what this means for our allies. As you mentioned, the president talking about military options being on the table, and Israel taking a lead in that regard.
Well, certainly, if the ultimatum that the president has issued, and we've heard him say it many, many times, if the Iranians do not come to a deal and an agreement to dismantle their program, then it will be done by force. And that, I believe the Iranians have internalized that and accept that as a very real threat. It would likely be an Israeli-led air campaign supported by the United States. That would be the reality of what would take place here. But the allies in this have snapback sanctions that they can use against the Iranians over the next 60 days, impose tougher sanctions on them, and the Iranians know that. The other thing, though, is Iran is getting significant help. From February to March, the Chinese have increased purchasing Iranian oil, 80% increase in that purchase. So now China is purchasing Iranian oil, 90% of it. And that is helping to sustain Iran's economy. And obviously the Trump administration has some leverage here with China to go after them with secondary and tertiary sanctions. There's third parties involved in this as well to shut that down. they're purchasing somewhere in the tune of about 1.6 million barrels of oil a day. When the maximum sanctions were in place, by comparison, Molly, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 to 400,000 barrels of oil a day the Iranians were selling. And then their economy was completely in the tank as a result of it. We got to get back to that.
You are making great points about the allies that are involved here with the Iran situation. Greatly appreciate your insights. General Jack Keane, thank you so much. Always love to talk to you.